The winter home of Brigham Young is diagonally across the street from the Seven Wives Inn. If you're staying at the inn, all you have to do is step out the front door and you can look right across to it. The Seven Wives Inn is so named because the guy that lived there had 7 wives after it was illegal to do so and hid them in the attic so he wouldn't be discovered. But the founder of the church that lived across the street beat him out with 55 wives. Oh my God, I think I would have killed myself. I don't see how he lived to be as old as he did. I doubt that there are very many people in the United States, perhaps in the entire world, that don't know who Brigham Young was. As one of the founders of one of the truly megalithic church structures in the entire world, in 1847 he led his Mormon followers by a wagon train to the Salt Lake Valley, to an area that he declared, "This is the place." And at that spot, it was the place where he decided he was going to build his megalithic church structure. But by 1870, about the time that this photo was taken, he had developed arthritis to the point that he could no longer handle the hard winters of the Salt Lake area, and had his followers build a winter home for him in the St. George area. This is the front of the home.
Brigham Young.
Yeah, Brigham Young's summer estate. Winter estate. Brigham Young's winter estate had all of these plants produce some kind of fruit. Got a pecan tree. You have the vineyard right here. In the back they had pomegranates. Some other trees that they cut down that also bore fruit. Construction on this home began in 1871, and Young was a regular tenant here during the winters of 1873 to 76, now owned by Utah State Parks. No charge to go through this one. Of course, you just got to listen to the speech they give you on the church. Actually, it was all historical.
You have to read the Book of Mormon.
You know, you have to go see the play Book of Mormon.
When is the next tour?
I don't know. About a half an hour wait. Upon entry, I asked the docent for permission to record.
Family sang happy birthday to him when he turned 75, and there's a little band out on the street that played the music. And that's a picture of him when he was 75 years old. The fireplace is made out of metal. This table is original. William Bell hand-carved that table. It is all made out of pine. Then he stained it to look like mahogany. Then he used paintbrushes to paint the grain work. The piano behind you is also original. It is called a box grand piano. This piano was made in Boston, then it came all the way across the plains on a train to Salt Lake City. This is original to the Salt Lake home. We have a picture of Amelia and Brigham. Amelia was an accomplished pianist, and Brigham enjoyed singing. This secretary against the wall is also original and once again made out of pine. Now we're going to go back into the original part of the home. A lithograph of our dear prophet Joseph Smith and his older brother Hiram. The next thing that's original is the architectural sketch of the Salt Lake Temple. That took 40 years to build. Brigham started it, but he passed away 11 years before it's completed. The dishes on the table are original as well. Brigham Young ordered those dishes from Europe, but he passed away shortly before they arrived in Salt Lake City. We have a picture of George Washington, and the reason being, when the bowls are glued together and spouts added, they would pour boiling hot water in the spout. It kept their dinner hot while they ate. Quite fine for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah. Brigham Young was a very regular man. His daughter wrote in her journal that he would always have breakfast at precisely 10 a.m. each morning, and with his breakfast he had water or buttermilk to drink. Pretty unique, right? Of the original stove, they had water outside a well. They would carry all their water in. Over there on the bench is an oval-shaped copper pot. That was their multi-purpose pot. They'd use that to bathe the baby, wash the clothes, do the dishes, skin the peaches. Everything happened in that pot. And that item that looks like a plunger is really their agitator. And that's what they would use to wash their clothes. This rocking chair is an original Thomas Cotton rocking chair. It is over 150 years old. That stove put out a lot of heat, so in the summertime they'd cook outside in their Bowery. Okay, we're going to go upstairs. The stairs are steep, so please hold on to the...
This narrow stairway goes up to what they call the hired help room. They didn't like the term servant. A little history here is needed. At the time when Brigham Young brought his followers to the Salt Lake Valley, the American Civil War had not yet started, and slavery of African Americans was widely accepted throughout the world. This lithograph, or drawing, whatever it is here, came from an 1836 England newspaper showing the auctions that they were having in England at that time. Brigham Young and the Mormon Church flip-flopped back and forth at least 4 or 5 times during the years prior leading to the Civil War and into the Civil War, which would decimate most of the United States. At first, Young proclaimed that Mormons were not abolitionists, and the first wagon train to come through had 4 African American slaves with them. Subsequent wagon trains would hold others. One of the first few African Americans brought along was the young self-proclaimed nurse by the name of Bridget Biddy Mason. She went on to fight for her own freedom and is quite famous, becoming one of the original landholders of African Americans in the Los Angeles area and a big philanthropist throughout her life, giving a lot of money to the schools that were there. In 1872, about the same time period when Brigham Young would have been languishing on his front porch, she formed the first African American Methodist Episcopal Church in Los Angeles. Yeah, those Mormon roots didn't stick with her very well. Why is this important to mention? Well, like any other paranormal investigator would do, I smuggled an EMF detector into the museum, and I kept it hidden. I certainly wouldn't want the docent asking me, "Hey, what is that you've got there? What are you doing?" I smuggled in a K2. I know, it's not one of the best pieces of equipment that there is. You have to know how to read it or it will be unreliable because it picks everything up. But the thing is we've done over 200 investigations, surveillance investigations, and we do know how to read it. And it was the only piece of equipment I have that doesn't make any noise, so I wouldn't be detected. And in the entire structure, the only place that I got any readings was 2 strong spikes, from 0 to 20 milligauss and back down, right here in the hired help room. Hired help. I'm not exactly certain what application form they had to fill out in order to become hired help, or what their rate of pay was, but the truth of the matter is a lot of slaves when released stayed on because they didn't have any place to go. And apparently at least one of them stayed here in this room much longer after his pay ran out. I didn't photograph it. I didn't want to get caught, so you'll just have to take my word that it is so. I stuck around and let the rest of the group go ahead, and I tried to get it to duplicate, even waved it around the room to see if it was something normal. I could not get it to duplicate.
Brigham would call her hired help or hired girl. He never called her servant. He thought that word was demeaning. So the stairs you just went up with a hired help set of stairs. The second one you're here. Go ahead. His feet and his ankles. The chest of drawers behind you in the corner is original. It's all hand carved. It's made out of pine and then stained to look like bird's eye maple. The traveling trunk on the floor is also original. That was Amelia's traveling trunk. They put it on the back of the buggy, and down they would come for 3 or 4 months in the winter time, 1 or 2 weeks in the summertime to check on the construction of the courthouse, the tabernacle, and the temple. Watch your step as we go to the next room. When he lived here. There's a lot of things in this room that are original. First of all, the chair behind you and the wardrobe are original. The secretary against the wall is original. Not the books, but the secretary itself. It is made out of pine and then stained to look like bird's eye maple. The chest of drawers with the numbers on it is also original. That was Brigham's traveling chest of drawers. The bed is original. William Bell hand carved that bed especially for the prophet. It is full size. It doesn't look it because the headboard is so big and beefy. This bed is original to the Salt Lake home, not to this home. And like I mentioned, he's really struggled with rheumatoid arthritis. He had to use many canes, and that is one of his canes. He also struggled to get down on the floor to say his prayers, so he used his prayer stool. It flips open, and that's where he stored his Bible and his Book of Mormon.
Just amazing. Young's personal bedroom is actually the spot where I thought I would get some K2 hits, but was not to be.
Over here we have some copies of original photographs taken in 1853. Top center, Brigham Young is 52 years old.
You can hear other people here talking over our docent. That was another party that was assembling for tour downstairs, probably 40 people. Yeah, they can really pack them in here.
Name is Russell Nelson.
Once you get to this picture of the other church founders, there's a stairwell that leads downstairs and you're let out. And the stairwell is full size, not like the little one that leads up to the hired help room. So, how did the Brigham Young Winter Home Retreat stack up for us? Well, I give it an activity rating level of, who knows? I would be hard-pressed to say that the 2 spikes on the K2 were paranormal. There wasn't enough time to verify that one way or another. But we can definitely say that spikes are abnormal. I really didn't expect there to be any activity level in here at all, as many people go through the place, and I expected to mark this up just as a rather neat historical tour. So I was surprised also. It would be neat to do a surveillance ghost hunt in here, but considering that it's owned by the Park System of Utah and contains probably millions of dollars of priceless artifacts inside, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon from anyone.